Hi, I'm Dave Epstein. Welcome to this edition of Growing Wisdom. Today I want to talk about bird feeding. And specifically, I want to talk about the fact that many of you may be working at home a lot more these days, and you really want some interest outside those windows. I spend a lot of time standing here working on my keyboard, typing documents and things, and I definitely want to add something to this little area. I think it'll be really unique to just stand here and see this nice new bird feeder. If you're like me, you have people in your life that you go to for certain things. So I have someone I go to if I need something repaired. I have somebody for the roof. I have somebody for my lawn. I have my favorite cheese person, and I have my favorite bird person. It's Susan Moreno, and she's up in Sudbury at Wild Birds Unlimited. She's been there 30 years. I met her about a decade or so ago, and anytime I have a question about bird feeding or I want to get a new bird feeder, that's where I head. And I do it because A, she's just so knowledgeable, and they've got everything you could possibly want in the store. And when I come back and put it up in the house, I'm just happy, and it gives me something different to look at, and I kind of get excited about it. I know it's just bird feeding, but it really is super meaningful to me. I have sort of this vision of looking out the window and just seeing all sorts of different types of birds. Off I went into Wild Birds Unlimited. I'm going to set up this system that we're going to use in my home office. As you shop for a bird feeder system, just be aware of where you are putting it, how tall do you want it, how many stations are you going to want. Think about all of those things so that when you go into a store and you start purchasing all this stuff, you really have a good idea of what you want. Of course, the folks at Wild Birds Unlimited will be happy to help you.
You can buy additional pole sections of varying lengths to put together. So what I've done is I've added a 4-foot piece, a squirrel baffle, and a double crook from which we can hang feeders. The top of this is about 7.5 feet, which is a really good height. It allows for good visibility out of windows, but it also allows you to put a baffle on the pole to keep the squirrels from climbing up. The way something like this works is squirrels climb up, can't get through because of the top, but the effectiveness comes in its diameter. It's about a 6-inch stovepipe, and squirrels don't have any rotator muscles, so they can't open up wide enough to hug up the baffle. Place the top between 4 and 4.5 feet from the ground, and they won't be able to jump up. As best you can, you want a 10-foot clearance around the system so that they can't jump to it from other things.
So check out what Susan did here. She put on all these different feeders. Susan, tell us about these feeders.
Sure. This one over here is our Eliminator. This is actually a weight-sensitive feeder that shuts off when a squirrel gets on it. So it's a great feeder to put in a variety of locations where you can't protect from the squirrels. This feeder right here, this bright yellow one, this is a finch feeder for the American goldfinch and other birds that like to eat its Niger, or also called thistle. You can see it has really tiny holes, but one of the reasons it's bright yellow is because goldfinches are a flock bird and it's colored like them, and they're more apt to explore it and find it. And finally, one of my favorite feeders in the store is this great tail prop suet feeder. Woodpeckers have stiff tail feathers that act as a third leg, so when they prop up against a tree trunk, they can peck to get leverage. So that's what this tail prop does right here, is it just mimics a tree trunk.
After you've chosen your particular bird feeder, you want to choose the right food for the feeder. So there's feeders specifically for things like peanuts or other types of seed here.
This tiny little tan seed that you see is called millet, and that's designed to be kicked out to the ground for ground feeding birds who really prefer it, like mourning doves and sparrows and juncos, also known as snowbirds.
Squirrels don't like hot pepper, so there's many different varieties of mixes that have some hot pepper in there as well, including this no mess cylinder. We've got the super suet. We've got another super suet over here, this cake. And these are really great ways to keep the squirrels away from eating your food. Just in case you are wondering, the hot pepper doesn't bother the birds at all.